Hello and welcome. I'm Claire Feldman, your host and guide on this journey to thriving in private practice without the burnout. Are you a passionate therapist who's struggling with the entrepreneurial side of things? Do you wish you could serve great fit clients at times that suit you? Are you seeking financial stability so you can continue doing what you love? If so, then you're in the right place. I know firsthand the difficulties of navigating the business aspects of therapy, from building a website to managing social media, but I've made all the mistakes so you don't have to. Together we'll explore how you can build and grow your dream practice. So let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome to this solo episode today where we're going to be doing a little end of year reflection on 2024 and how things have been for us in our private practice and looking ahead to 2025. This is a time of year where maybe we're getting close to the festive season, so you might already be starting to get quieter in your practice. You've maybe been given a heads up, as I have, that some clients are maybe planning to take extended periods off in December. And so you might be starting to wind down a little, take the foot off the gas a little. And whilst it is absolutely lovely to enjoy the quieter time, to enjoy the downtime, to enjoy the little rest and the break that you might be getting in your day now, it's also a really good opportunity to do some reflection and to maybe look at some of the aspects of your private practice and to consider how things have been and is there any learning that you can take from that. And it's a great way to just wrap up some loose ends and really start with a fresh, clear focus and view of 2025 and what you want to do for your business. So if we were summing up 2024, I can't really think of any other way to describe it than to say it has been a bit of a shit show, really, hasn't it? With like global economic crisis, Trump being elected in the US, like there's been a hell of a lot going on this year, budget changes, like there's been lots and lots happening. And that invariably does impact businesses, and not just us in private practice, but impacts businesses everywhere. And in particular, self-employed businesses are really feeling it at the minute. So we're not unique here. We're not alone. That it is very cyclical and that it is very normal for the economy to go through fluctuations and for changes like this to happen. And what we have to learn to do as best we can in self-employment and as business owners is, how do we ride this storm? How do we survive this storm? And how do we set ourselves up to be able to sail through any future storms that might be coming our way? And that's sort of what this episode is about, helping us to kind of look at it from this perspective of taking a step back and seeing where opportunities might be. So if you do have any quiet periods, cancellations or blocks of time ahead, these are some of the things that you can maybe consider doing. So the first thing is really looking at your finances. So hopefully you will have some sort of tracking process where you are tracking your income and your expenses every month. If you don't have that set up, then definitely make that a New Year goal for you to do, where each month you're tracking your income, looking at what the different income streams are for you and what the expenditure is for each of those. Now, I'm going to be totally transparent here. I am absolutely shockingly bad at trying to maintain my books. And no matter how many times I've tried to get myself be more efficient and to set a date in the diary for every Friday of going in and updating my accounts and updating my books, invariably it never happens. So I've actually made the decision to invest in a bookkeeper, and I feel really positive about that decision. I'm a big believer in outsourcing areas that you really struggle with. This is an area that I really struggle with, and so I'm so glad to have invested in this support. What it has, however, highlighted, because it's been quite a process getting set up, because I've had to be sending her all of my receipts for all of my expenses from April through to year to date. And in the process of digging out all my receipts and forwarding everything to her, and she's compiling, all the income and the expenditure for me, what it has highlighted is all the areas of expenses that I have, which are really disproportionate to my income. So it really has highlighted my expenses are far too high. And so I'm looking at these opportunities and going through and seeing all of these subscriptions and all of these things that I've signed up for, and really considering, am I getting my money's worth from these, and are these really a valuable resource for me? So it's been really helpful in that sense. And that's what I would encourage you to do as well, is do that review of your income, do that review of your expenditure, and say, are there expenses that are going out here? Maybe it's for directories and you haven't had any inquiries from these directories the entire year. Are there things that you're signing up for or paying for that perhaps you don't actually need? And could they be cancelled? The other thing that's good to look at is even where are your revenue streams coming from, and are they working for you? So I have different revenue streams coming in. So I have my private practice, and then I obviously have my membership, and then I have my mentoring, one-to-one mentoring services as well. So I'm able to see the different streams of revenue that are coming in and how they work out in proportion with the expenses that I have for those sides of the business. So it'd be really good for you to see, where are your different revenue streams coming in from? Is it coming in through what proportion is coming in through your own private practice? What proportion is potentially coming in through, say, EAP or insurance providers? And then kind of thinking about, how does this work for you? So what tends to happen when I'm in consultation calls with therapists is that they might be more heavily reliant on the likes of EAP, because they can get a steadier flow of clients through EAP. But actually, if they really concentrated their efforts in marketing more effectively their private practice, that their private practice fee could be significantly higher than the EAP work. And so the opportunity to earn more income would actually be much greater in the private practice. And so that might be something for you to have a look at, where is the divide between your income streams? How much are each of these places paying you? And is there any opportunity, maybe thinking ahead to 2025, of what if you could expand your private practice? Or when was the last time in your private practice that you actually increased your fees? And is January potentially a good time for you to think about giving notice to your clients now and increasing your fee come January? Because when we're looking at our earnings, we can either look at reducing our expenses, we can look at increasing our existing fees, or we can look at creating a brand new income stream. Those are sort of the three kind of key things that we can look at when it comes to our income. So for now, what you can perhaps be considering is, can I do either of those two? Can I reduce my expenses, or can I increase my fee? If you don't have any other alternative income streams, so when I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking about things like maybe selling digital products, maybe running group courses, maybe delivering CPD workshops, that there are loads of opportunities for therapists to create additional income in a variety of ways. And that might be something that you want to put on your goal for 2025. I predict that 2025 is going to be a similar sort of landscape to 2024. We do have to work harder at our marketing efforts. We do need to be much more focused on really marketing towards our ideal client. We need to be focused on building connection and building relationships with an audience and our ideal client. And we also need to think about offering services that can be really helpful beyond just the one-to-one. So for people that maybe aren't in a position to be able to invest in one-to-one therapy, or for people who are contemplating therapy at some stage, but maybe just don't feel like they're quite ready now. Um, or for people even who maybe don't feel like they need um, therapy, but feel like they could use some support in your particular niche area, like offering things like one-off intensives or offering things like little group courses can be incredibly helpful. So I think traditionally therapists have always only worked to a one-to-one model and haven't really been creative around other ways to offer services and offer support beyond one-to-one. And I think for financial stability in 2025, this is what we're going to have to think much more of. How can I build other revenue streams beyond the one-to-one? So that's something for you to start mulling over and to start thinking about now. The other area that you can do a review on is around your operations. So by operations, I'm talking about the process of the client finding you through to booking with you. Like, what does that process look like? Is it straightforward and is it streamlined? We know that if things are too convoluted, if they take too much time, you are potentially losing clients and client engagement. So if I got to say I was interested in working with a particular therapist and maybe I've shortlisted a couple of different websites, if I go onto a website and it takes too long to load, if it's not crystal clear how to get in contact, if there's not a book a call button, if there's not things like that that make it really simple and really easy for me to do, the chances are you've lost me, I've disengaged and I've moved on to another site or to another person. So I want you to really think about, for someone who's reaching out, maybe feeling really anxious, is looking for support, we want to try and make the process as smooth and easy for them as possible. I'm personally, this is just my personal opinion, I'm not a fan of the whole back and forth email that they've got to send a contact form, you've got to email them back, or that there's calls going back and forth and then potentially you keep missing each other. That's just my personal opinion. I much prefer, I have a Calendly booking link on my website. So people book an introductory call with me directly through my website. And then Calendly will create reminder appointments for the people. We'll send out reminders in advance as well, which means that the turn up rates for my discovery calls are usually pretty high. I'm also a fan of doing discovery calls because I do charge a higher fee. I do generally attract, my website does a pretty good job at attracting my ideal client. The initial call, the 30-minute call, is more of a just checking that this is actually a good fit. And then generally most calls do convert and those clients do go on to work with me for a long period of time. So I have no issue investing my time in that 30-minute call. So have a look at your website. Maybe even like pretend that you've never seen your website ever before and go in blindly and just see, like, what's the layout like? How easy is it to navigate? Is it really clear what my fees are? Is it really clear how to get in contact? Is it really clear what the process is? And is it then straightforward? And equally too, if the client then books in and the client does convert, is the process of billing and scheduling straightforward? So is it that you're just taking backs transfers or sending a Stripe link? Or is there some other way of automating that process as well? So again, thinking about platforms like Kiku or WriteUp, which I use, where you're able to email invoicing and the pay, kind of it all be automated through WriteUp, can be really helpful and really handy as well. And I think, we're business owners and we want to be professional business owners. And I think even just like trying to create the right impression and create an impression of being professional, I think can be very helpful as well. And I think sometimes even just the process of automating appointments, sending out automatic emails, automatic reminders, all of those things I think can just help with that giving that sense of professionalism in our business as well. So that's another area for you to look at, that process of a potential client visiting your website through to booking a call. Is that as easy, as smooth, and as streamlined as it possibly can be? The next thing then that you can have a review on is looking at your referral sources. So again, ideally, you should have some sort of a tracker where you are tracking in where your referrals are coming through. And that you should be able to go to that and say, like, how many of your client inquiries and referrals are coming through directories? How many are coming direct through your website? How many are potentially coming through Google My Business? How many are coming through word of mouth, etc., etc. That is a really helpful piece of information for you to keep. With the best will in the world, you probably won't remember just by verbally asking your clients. So keeping that tracker and reviewing that, ideally reviewing it quarterly, but definitely reviewing it at the end of the year and seeing which of my referral sources are actually working for me and which ones are not. And so this might be an opportunity to look at if you are signed up, for example, with a number of therapist directories and you're getting no referrals in from them, then provided that your directory profile is really well written and speaks to your ideal client, then maybe that directory profile just is not for you. And that this could be an opportunity to perhaps cancel some of those subscriptions and then maybe consider in the new year new opportunities to market yourself in a different way. There is no point in you continuing to pay subscription to therapist directories if they really aren't serving you anymore. I also do have a slight feeling, again, this is just my personal opinion. I think at some point therapist directories are going to have their day. I just think that they are increasingly saturated. There are literally thousands upon thousands of counsellors that are on there. And unless you happen to get your profile onto the top page that your ideal client is looking at, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to get a regular stream of inquiries through there. So I wouldn't be relying on therapist directories for my private practice clients to be coming from. And this is something I'm going to be so focused on with my membership and my mentoring clients in 2025 is how do you build your practice on the platforms that you own and that you have full control over, which is basically your website and your email list, and how do you focus and build that and generate your own inquiries and essentially be able to bypass directories and bypass these other things that perhaps we maybe rely too heavily, or that certainly in the past we have relied too heavily on. So I would be a big advocate for trying something different. If this isn't working for you, invest that money elsewhere and try something different. Something I've just been experimenting with myself over the last few weeks is Google Ads campaign and a targeted Google Ad campaign to my private practice website. I have done this very intentionally because I know a few of my clients are taking extended breaks over December and taking the whole month of December off. And so I want to try and mitigate some of the financial impact of that. So I've been testing out running a Google Ad campaign, and it is now starting to work for me, and it is starting to convert into client inquiries. And I have signed one client as a result of that ad campaign, and I'm going to keep it running for another week or two and just see how that goes and how that pans out. So this is the kind of thing that I've never done Google Ads campaign before. I've been in practice for quite some time, and in previous months, actually, organically, I was getting enough organic traffic to bring clients in directly through my website. But given the time of year and given the fact that I know that a couple of clients aren't going to be coming for sessions, then I've taken this proactive decision to run this campaign and to see how it pays off. And again, that'll be something I'll reflect on and I'll learn from and consider, might this be something that I want to do again in the future? And sort of touching on that when I'm talking about like Google Ads campaigns and talking about your website, then definitely something that we want to be considering and that we want to look at is how effective has your marketing been to date? Or maybe I should ask, have you been marketing to date? So hopefully, again, you have had some sort of strategy around your marketing and what that might look like. For some, the strategy might be winging it. And if that is you, no judgment, but what I would really encourage you to do for the new year is to think about getting a strategy together. Again, in 2025, our marketing efforts are going to have to be much more focused. We're going to have to be creative around how and where we market. And like I've already mentioned about the directories, I think we are going to have to think more about building our brand, building our website, building an email list, and thinking about those longer term wins. What we sometimes focus on is we focus on the short term, we focus on social media, we focus on how much engagement we get in a post, we focus on how many views a reel got, we focus on, the inquiry coming straight through the directory profile of someone who needs our help right now. What we will have to focus on much more for 2025 is the longer term wins. And by that, I mean the things like the blog writing or starting a podcast or those sorts of things, those sorts of marketing efforts that you don't see any immediate benefit to doing, but that the payoff for these things in the long run are likely to be much greater than some of these other short-term things. And certainly moving forward and for 2025, I think this is what we're going to have to focus kind of much more on. So definitely think about the marketing you've done to date. Have you spent time working on your business? Have you set aside dedicated time each week to think about your marketing, to think about where your business is going, and to be fully engaged in those activities? If not, what do you want to do differently in 2025? Where is your ideal client? Where might the best places be to market them? What might be the marketing strategy that you could imagine that you could still be doing a year from now and not be totally fed up with? And that's a good thing for you maybe to start thinking about and start considering. If you're doing a bit of a review on your marketing to date, the kind of things and the metrics that you could be looking at is things like on your website, you should be able to go in and look at your Google Analytics, and that should be able to show you how much traffic is actually coming to your website. Is there any organic traffic coming to your website? Where are the referrals to your website coming through? So are hits on your website coming through, for example, a directory profile, or hits on your website coming through a blog that you've written? So it's good to have a look at that and to see, is any organic traffic coming? If so, where is it coming from? And how can I produce more of that? It might be that you get your Google report that tells you how many hits and how many engagements you're getting on your Google My Business profile each month. Again, you could look at any trends there are on that, and that might inform you as to when your busier periods or when your marketing efforts might need to be increased. And it could also give you maybe some information about whether you might need to do some work around improving and optimizing your Google My Business profile. This is especially true if you are a therapist that sees people in person, that your Google My Business is actually really important then for driving traffic to your website. Another thing you could look at is your directory profiles, that most of the directories are able to give you reports around how many clicks and how many engagements are coming through on your profile. And again, you should be able to look over the course of the year and see, are there any particular trends that you notice throughout the course of the year? And does this give you any information that might be helpful for how you approach things in the next year? And then the other thing you could look at if you're using social media to market yourself is things like your insights reports on Instagram, for example, that you're able to kind of have a look at what types of posts have been most popular, what types of posts in particular have got the most engagement or have been saved by your ideal client. So that can be really helpful in getting to know, like, what does your audience like in particular in terms of the type of content that you produce, and how can you produce more of that content, and how can you increase engagement on your social media. The more engagement you have on your social media, the more Instagram or Meta will show your profile to a wider audience and is more likely to then attract more potentials of your ideal client through there. So those are some of the things, just to recap. Look at your finances, look at your income, look at your expenditure. Is there any areas where you need to make some changes and be a bit ruthless around? Look at your income streams and where might there be opportunities. So do I need to increase my fee, reduce expenses, or create a new extra income stream? For 2025, that's probably going to be a big focus for me and helping therapists around that. Look at your operations. Visit your website as if you're a total newbie to your site. Is the speed working? Is it easy to navigate? Can a potential client book a call with you easily and the process be smooth? Look at your client tracker. Where are your referral sources coming from? What's working? What's not working? And if there are some things that you're paying for that aren't working, could that money be invested into something different that perhaps you haven't tried before that might be more fruitful? For example, something like a Google ad campaign. And then finally, look at your marketing and see which type of marketing are you able to maintain consistency over? Which one are you getting feedback and engagement from? And what would you like to continue doing or start doing in 2025? 2025 is all going to be about actually having a strategy, which is super important. But even more important than having a strategy is taking action. That's what I'm so focused on in my membership. It's why we have co-working sessions, which I call the Get You Done sessions. I'm all about showing up and taking action, because we can have all the strategy in the world, but if we don't take action and if we don't have the belief, then we don't really get anywhere. So if you have listened to all of this and maybe you've recognized, like, maybe there's some of the things that you're doing and you're doing quite well. Maybe I've highlighted some things that are presenting opportunities to you. But if you want to get set up for 2025 in the best possible way, then you're going to want to listen up, because I have an amazing offer, especially for Black Friday. Obviously, it depends on when you're listening to this episode, because if you're listening to this episode on Black Friday was a long time ago, then very sorry you've missed out on this wonderful opportunity. If you're listening to it in real time, though, there is a fabulous offer running from the 22nd of November until midnight on the 29th of November. What I'm offering is a 30% discount on my one-to-one strategy sessions. These sessions are ordinarily £157 for a 1 hour session. You're getting a 30% discount. These sessions are so helpful at looking at the current situation in your private practice, getting crystal clear on your goals and your vision for the future, and getting a strategy together to help you really propel in your practice in 2025. It's a brilliant time of year to be doing it. Don't wait till January. Seize the opportunity now. There is also an extra special bonus for anybody that does avail of the Black Friday offer, and that's that you get a complimentary invitation to any of the events that are happening within the membership community for the month of December only. So we have on the 5th of December a session that is all about end of year review, where I'll be walking through some of the steps that I've covered in this podcast episode. We've also got 2 co-working sessions where you can come along and tackle some of the things that you have been procrastinating over or putting off in your business. And we have a monthly coaching call on the 19th of December. And we also have a Christmas bingo, where for the 12 days of Christmas, I'm going to be setting little challenges for members to take part in. And there's going to be a chance to win some prizes at the end of that. So there's plenty of things happening in December, lots of fun things, but also lots of getting stuff done, because that's what I'm all about. So if you're interested in availing of that offer, getting a one-to-one strategy session with me at a discounted price and getting complimentary access to my membership for the month of December, then I will pop the link to the strategy session in my show notes. And all you simply have to do is to enter code Black Friday, all in capitals, in the coupon box, and that will automatically be discounted at the checkout. All right, so get on board that offer if that's something that you're interested in. It expires the 29th of November at midnight. But that is it for today, guys. I hope that you have found that useful, and I hope there's some practical next steps for you to take away and put into practice in your private practice. It's a great opportunity to review how the year has gone and get yourself set up, get yourself excited for 2025. Until next time, I'll speak to you soon. So that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, if you found the episode helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could share it with other counsellors and therapists in private practice. If you'd like to find out more about me and how I can help you build and grow your private practice, hop on over to my website, which is www.prosperinprivatepractice.com, and you'll also find me on Instagram under the same name. But until next time, I will see you soon. Take care.